What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Montana Method podcast one more time. As always, your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., author, creator of Montana Method. Welcome back. Appreciate you guys coming back every week. Here this week with the beautiful Raquel Calderon, a good friend of mine that hit it off pretty quick. We'll tell you about the story of how we met and everything that happened. This took some effort, scheduling and everything, but we're here. So I'm excited to bring her to the show and tell her, let her tell her story. So let's get started. Hit the intro.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
This was a process, bro.
Yeah, it was.
You're harder to set a meeting with than Donald Trump.
Oh, my God. I just have so much going on right now. I'm so sorry. I think I canceled you like 3 times. My bad.
Don't apologize. Being busy, being in demand, having things going on. Never apologize for having those things going on. You know what I mean? Never.
I'm very blessed. I am.
Definitely. That's important. There's people, I've realized that there's people that work very hard in this life and never get any opportunities.
Yeah. I know. I used to be like that until, I started not being a victim of my circumstances and really believing in myself and going hard for myself.
There's a certain amount of things that have to be in place for things to start happening.
Yeah.
A big one is believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nothing's going to happen for you.
For sure.
No one's going to believe in you. So if you don't believe in you, then that's a problem.
Exactly. And what you believe about yourself is what others will believe about you. So took a long look in the mirror to one day just be like, you're a queen. Start walking in that light. So I'm very, very blessed and I'm very lucky. And I really never take anything for granted. I'm so grateful. And I think because I'm so grateful for everything, God really just he always looks out for me. I don't know why, but I'm his favorite.
So yeah, that's part of what I mean. Like, we have to understand as humans that there's a lot of things. I would say 99.9% of things are outside of our control.
Yeah.
And we like to pretend that we can control things. We like to pretend that we have control over our lives. But in reality, control is an illusion. It's never landing. It's fairy dust. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
So what I can speak for myself. I can't speak for other people, right? What I realized and what helped me was, instead of trying to control, let things play out, do my best, like put in effort, obviously. Put in effort and do my best. But things will fall into place when they're supposed to fall into place.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do my best, make sure I do my part and what I'm trying to make happen. And then everything else, it's up to the forces that be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people have a hard time accepting that it's not up to you sometimes. Sometimes it is. There's situations where it's completely up to you. There's other situations where it has nothing to do with you and you got to sit there and wait.
Surrender. You have to surrender.
Yeah,
It's the hardest thing to do sometimes.
Very difficult, yeah.
Especially when you just have to sometimes be led by faith, and that's a choice, to just choose to believe that it's going to be like okay, that you're going to make it, that
Right.
somehow, some way, the hard work or whatever it is that you're doing will meet you, and you just have to trust, It's the hardest thing, but knowing how to do it, learning how to do it, and actually doing it makes such a difference in your life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as a person that that's what I experienced. Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
When did you decide you wanted to get into acting? When was that?
Well, okay, so I wear many hats. I am a performing artist. I act, I dance, and I sing. I'm a theater student. I did theater all my life. Aside from that, though, I am an entrepreneur. So my business is Divine Light Entertainment, and I get to act as the creative director and artistic director to create shows and performances for events. And I also have a talent agency. So I get to give artists opportunities, book them for commercials and jobs, music videos, or whatever. So honestly, the performing arts has followed my life always. Since I was a little girl, for me, it was all the same thing. Acting, singing, dancing, it was just the same. I just like to be on stage and I like to perform. So it comes very natural for me. I think this is just like a gift I have. And I just chose to use my gift in a positive light, in a positive way. So, I keep God, Jesus, as the foundation of everything I do. And I've been very blessed and fortunate that opportunities, sometimes they just find me. I work hard, but I'm also a mother. So I work as much as I can while still raising her. So when I act and when I get opportunities, I just did a movie. Right now I'm playing Cha-Cha in Greece at the Seminole Theater. When these things come for me in my life, they're like sprinkles that I get to really do because I love to do. I don't do that for the money, even though the money is great when I do get it, but I do that because I love it. I love to be able to, I'm so full of passion. I have so many emotions, and I've been through so much life experiences, a lot of pain, a lot of beautiful moments. So like my heart is very big, and the best way I know how to release it or express it is acting. Like I get to, and dancing, like all these things, I get to portray characters and, use my life experiences to share stories. That's mostly what I love about it. And all these stories, I try as hard as possible to aim for it to be something that inspires or empowers others, even if it's just to go after your dreams. So I've been acting since I was little, but professionally, it just started happening when I started believing that I'm really good at what I do, and just, reaching out to agents, getting my headshots done and submitting for things, going to auditions. And as I was developing and healing through a lot of things in my life, my healing process allowed me to have more confidence in myself and to believe in myself. So I walk into auditions sometimes like I know I'm going to get this part, not because I'm entitled, but because I'm confident in what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I've been very blessed, honestly. And I'm still excited for things that are about to come for me. I feel it, I know it, and I have things in the works that I'm not able to talk about yet. But this is just, acting is part of my purpose. More than just, I want to be an actor just to be famous. Like, I don't even care about that, honestly. I do it because I'm able to tell stories, and I'm able to do something I love and use what life has brought to me in ways that now empower, encourage other people. And it's a beautiful thing. So to answer how long or when, always. So just as a matter of how far am I going to go with it, or what's my goal with it, as much as God wants to let me still be in this, I really do feel like I've just learned to trust and surrender, and it just keeps appearing in my life. I don't try so hard or stress it. It just comes. So I feel like it's part of my path. It's just somehow a part of my journey, and I'm very blessed. I'm very, very lucky and very grateful.
Since all these people that are moving from California and all that, has Miami kind of become, I wouldn't know because I'm not in I'm in media, but I'm not in film production, at least maybe not yet. Maybe I will be one day, who knows. But have you seen kind of like Hollywood transition into like Miami? Because I've seen, what I've noticed is a lot of the people that typically would operate in LA, now Miami in the media business is becoming a hotspot. Everybody's moving down here.
Yeah.
And I can name 5 big podcasts off the top of my head that are based in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
Yeah.
So do you see the same in like acting and film?
It's a hard one. Miami is full of a lot of opportunity, yes. But acting and film, I still think that it's not there yet. Right now, Governor DeSantis passed this thing where they took out lots of grant money that was used to support local theaters and artistic, like basically trying to cut out all the arts in Miami. This is happening right now, and it's affecting. So I don't know what the future really holds for Miami in acting and film and theater, I do see that is a hot spot. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of movies that are done here. So it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. I've been lucky, but there's definitely more opportunities other places when it comes to acting, film, like just theater. Especially now, we're going through like a crisis. So I feel like people should support the arts more, for real, because what's going to happen if they do start cutting all the funding off for performing arts, you know, the theater brings so much joy to people here. Restaurants, businesses, you know, they get customers when people go to a theatrical show, they go to the Adrian Arts Center and they watch something. People like to eat afterwards. Like if they cut this off, it kind of this makes this Miami very business operated. And what happens is like the theater world allows us to have escapism, which we get to escape the struggles of everyday life or the stresses and just have a moment to be present and enjoy something that can evoke some type of emotion and leave you off with different perspectives. And I honestly believe that this is good for our community. And so with this now happening, I'm not too sure what's going to happen with the film acting world here. I'm not too sure. But I do care, but I don't simmer too much on that because my perspective is I'm going to go where I'm meant to go, and the opportunities that are meant for me are going to find me.
Right.
And that's just how I operate. And whatever happens here, it's a beautiful place, but it is also becoming a luxurious spot. That's why everybody's moving over here. It's Miami's sexy, Miami's hot. They're building all these beautiful buildings and places that everybody wants to come here. So I understand why people are coming here. And also, this is a great hustling place, like to 100%. Be an entrepreneur. That's why podcasters are coming here and influencers and people are finding ways to use the media and make money out of the norm, like podcasting and using their personal brands to actually profit and market with other brands and make collaboration deals. Like Miami's really good for that.
For sure.
Miami's really good for content creating. Miami's good for networking, meeting people.
That's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. So Miami definitely has its pros. I love Miami. But as far as film and acting, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned networking. Miami, I mean, I've always been a person that I put myself out there and I try to meet people and shake hands because I met somebody recently that is very successful. And he said, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. And it's true because money, yes, you have to, there's a balance, right? Like, yes, I have to surrender and let things happen. And how things happen is how things happen. And sometimes they're outside of my control. And I need to put myself in situations to receive opportunities.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to receive, I'm still waiting for the guy that's going to come to my house and be like, here's a $10,000 check, sir. It's never going to happen.
Never. Who you surround yourself with is also very important, and the environments you put yourself into.
Bro.
So you are the average, you are the average of like the
five people you hang around the most.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very true and very real. And no matter what industry you're in or no matter what you're trying to pursue, your sphere of influence is so important in where you go. The opportunity doesn't just knock on your door, but if you're around the right people, if you're in the right rooms,
and
around
putting
the right
yourself
places,
in the right environments,
and reading the right things, like filling your mind with the right things, and taking care of your inner spiritual self, and then just working towards goals. At some point, the opportunity will meet you. I do believe that. It doesn't just come if you're just watching Netflix, sitting, chilling.
And my thing is, so a lot of people that talk about, surrender to the process and it'll manifest and doing all these things, they leave out the part where you actually have to do something. And then you have the other extreme where people are control freaks and they want to do everything and like, no, it's up to me. So it's hard finding the middle ground.
There's definitely a balance.
Right. Yeah.
And I think for me, like, it's not always easy. For me personally, I know that I'm off when I'm not intact or connected with myself. So how I get there or how I bring myself back to self is like, fitness is important to me. I'll go to the gym. I'll meditate. I spend time with God. I spend time in nature. And usually when I come back home to myself, because life gets in the way, stress, bills, worry, just deadlines and things. But when I come back, center myself, I find balance there. And then I find the balance of, Raquel, you're gonna overwork yourself. You might get at a point of exhaustion, or I could be at a point of burnout, and I never want to be there. And sometimes I do get myself there for overworking. So then I go, there's the extreme that is like, let me sit back, but then you can't be too lazy and not do anything. So actively taking care of yourself, somehow God gives me the blueprint. When I'm good with him and I'm good with my inner self, I'm like, okay, today I'm going to make my schedule. I'm going to do this, spend time with my daughter, take care of myself, make sure my house is intact. Like, I got to cook dinner, I got to do this, and I'm going to spend this amount of time working. So there is work that needs to be done. It's about knowing where to put your time. And I always say, like, if Beyonce and J-Lo can do it with the same amount of time that I have, it's about priorities. What's important to you? What are your top priorities, and how you're going to distribute your time evenly? And I think God rewards that. For me, like, it's a matter of not putting all your work on just your work only, or all your work on just your house. It's finding the balance on where your time is going. And where your time is going is where your heart is, where your priorities are at. And that's when the opportunities come and meets you, because you're diligently working on the things that are priority to you evenly. Maybe you're not always able to do it evenly, but you're still conscious of the things that you need to put your time towards.
Right.
And that's where trust comes in. All right, God, I did as much as I could here for my personal satisfaction. I did this for my branding. I did this many auditions for my business. I dedicated these 2 hours today. For my daughter, I dedicated this hour, and I'm good now. Like, now I need to rest, because you have to rest. Is also part of, you have to work, but you also have to rest. You can't overwork, like you're saying, and you can't just over rest and not do anything. So finding the balance is always when you come back home to yourself. That's for me. This is how I'm able to navigate through life, and why I'm able to say the opportunities do find me, because I don't kill myself trying to be an actor all the time. I love it. I give it my all when I'm focused on it, and I love it so much. Do I love it more than I love being a mom? I don't, but I still love it. Do I love it more than I love myself? I don't. Do I love it more than God? No. But acting to me is a tool to get my purpose out and get what I need to do. So everything in my life that's a tool, it is a priority, but it's not number one. I'm not obsessed with anything except I'm honestly just obsessed with, like, my faith, taking care of myself. That's
important.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our first sponsor, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, the familiar voice of your host, Nelson Rodriguez Jr., taking a quick detour to talk to you about the best jewelry shop on the internet, Gus Villa Jewelry. Let's be honest here, guys. Jewelers in Miami are super shady sometimes. I've even been ripped off once or twice by one of these self-proclaimed alchemists that ended up being these weirdos who sell you a bunch of stuff that make your neck and your fingers turn black. Let me tell you, after I met my boy, Gus Villa, he elevated my bling game. The Gus Villa team, these guys are more than just jewelers. These guys are magicians, turning metal and stone into your next head turner. Trust me, these pieces shine so much you can see them from outer space. Head over to GusVillaJewelry.com, and because you're a Monty, that's right, part of the Montana Method crew, you can use the promo code Montana to snatch 5% off your order. You don't just get hooked up with some shine, you get to have some dough in your pocket. Double whammy. So guys, what are you waiting for? Elevate your jewelry game. Show the world what you got. You got some style, you got some bling, you're all blinged up. Come on back after you do that. We've got more Montana Method Madness waiting for you. Now back to the podcast. So, we met. Well, I mean, we met at that event, at that charity event, but really in reality we met through Kevin, because did Kevin invite you there? No, he didn't.
No. I was so Angie, who was throwing the event for the nonprofit Engage, I was just there as a creative director, all the performances. So that's what I do. So I bring events to life. You saw the dancing that was happening. I had the live painter there. I had the DJ. I had the drummer, the aerialist. So I booked talent to make events. It was a very fun event. And that's why I was there. And I hired Kevin for that event and the 360.
Funny enough. Okay, that's funny. So Kevin, Kevin and I have been friends going on like 11 years. I've known him a long time. He's a really good person.
Yeah, Kevin's great.
I don't have a lot of, I don't call people friends lightly. I'm not one of, oh yeah, he's my friend. I'm more like, yeah, if it's someone I don't really consider a close friend, I'll say, yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
We know each other.
Yeah.
But if I call someone a friend, it's because I think they're a really good person, and I'll go out of my way for them.
He deserves the title. He's great.
He's a good person. He's a really good
person.
Yeah. He's always encouraging me. He's always,
He is awesome.
Really good people.
I met Kevin. He was actually dating one of my best friends. But Kevin and I hit it off immediately. He's a man of God. He wishes the best. His heart is golden. He wants the best for everyone. And so I can totally see why you would consider him a friend. He's definitely worthy of that title.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we met we kind of started speaking that day. And our conversations were like, we just started, honestly, it was very natural, right? It was very organic. It was more like, we talked about just life. I think this is what led us to be in this podcast. It was like life, but it was just deeper than life. We were talking.
Yeah. It's a conversation not everybody understands.
Yeah.
And I'm not quick to, like, I don't meet somebody and be like, hey, come on the podcast. I don't do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, of course. But yeah, the conversation we had you have to be a certain type of person.
We were like aliens.
Yeah.
It's true. You're just not from here. And we had this, I think we even said that, like, when you're in this world, but you're not of this world, like, or at least that's how I see it sometimes. And when I meet people that operate in that realm, it's like, they're like diamonds. Like, it's very special to me, a soul that's very enlightened. That's really what it is. It's an enlightened soul. And I think that somehow when we find each other, it's a really magical thing, because even if the podcast didn't happen, that conversation, for what it was worth, it was a great conversation. And it had nothing to do with work, although some of it did, but it was more just about the deep parts of life, like just going beyond the average, just knowing when your mind just operates not like the rest. When you have vision and you don't see, you're not just here seeing, you're here for something else. You have a certain type of vision. You have a certain type of outlook. It's like your third eye is open, or your spirit is awake. Right. You're awake. That's what it is. You're alive. There's a lot of people. I just had this conversation with someone a few days ago. I keep having conversations like this. Like, we were like, look around you. How many people are here, but they're not alive? Do you know how many people walk around and they're not alive? And it's a scary thought, but it's like, you're like dead inside. So you're just here. And those are the people that I aim to try to help in life. Like, life has there's purpose. We're all here for a reason. But when you know you're here for a reason, and that was what had happened with us. We just were like, I see you, like, I see you. I know, I already know what wave you're operating in, and we're vibrating on the same wave, and it was very magical. It was very nice. It was very inspiring, uplifting. And I remember you were referencing a lot of books too, that I actually put them in my library, and we had a lot of similar point of views and just similar ways of looking at life and looking at people, and just.
I remember something distinctly that I told you, and I don't know if it's maybe that you had dealt with something that day or that week, and you had mentioned something about how little people believe, and I said it's not up to other people to believe. It's up to you to believe. Other people don't have to see it. Yeah. You have to see it. Yeah. As long as you see it, that's the only thing that matters.
It's true.
Because it's your dream. It's not nobody else's dream.
It's true.
That's why when people... I think it's hilarious when people are like, oh, nobody believes in me. No one's supposed to believe in you.
Nobody's supposed to believe in you, right.
Period. It's nobody else's dream to become a top 10 podcaster and be best friends with the top people in this industry and become a media mogul. That's my dream. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Why should you believe in me?
Yeah. We did have this conversation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
I remember that distinctly, and I was like...
Yeah, because I was going through... I still kind of... It's like a season when you're just things are just happening because you're in a good flow, and you realize that you start to lose people too, or you feel like people don't support you, the people that you thought or that are in your corner, or sometimes you realize that
but
strangers
it's okay. They're only operating from what they understand.
Yeah.
Maybe they're acting that way or saying those things because they think they're protecting you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody operates from their own perspective of the only way they're capable of operating in this life. So when my mother got mad at me when I dropped out of college, I didn't get mad at her. She got mad at me. She was really angry with me. She was very upset with me. She thought it was a bad decision, but I didn't get mad at her. I understood. That's all she understood. Like she thought college was the best thing for me, even though it wasn't. So for me to turn around and get mad at my mom for being mad at me, am I really as wise as I claim to be?
Yeah, that perspective was kind of like what we were talking about.
Correct.
Too. Remember, I'm an artist. I'm sensitive. Okay, so I was in a sensitive place.
Are you an empath?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm a super empath. I am. This is why I'm so good at what I do, as I'm able to connect with people very deeply, and I'm able to create great art because of that. So sometimes when life gives me these reality checks or these lessons that I have to learn, you know, I cry a little bit, or like sometimes you see how you say, oh, I wasn't angry at my mom. Like maybe angry is not the word for me, but sometimes I get sad or something, or I'm just like, oh, sometimes when you grow, well, not sometimes, always, when you're growing in life, there's growing pains. There's things that happen, people that just don't come with you, or realities that you have to accept. Like I'm changing, I'm growing. And the reality is sometimes this is a lonely road, or sometimes like I try to be a girl's girl. Like I support, I'm always hoping for people to win all the time. So sometimes I expect that from people, but
you expect too much.
That's the problem. You expect too much.
You expect yourself and other people.
Exactly.
And so I'll give you a great example. And I have one friend who every time I say this, he gets very angry with me because he's like, oh, that's your dad. But I talk about my father just to give context. It's not because I hate him. I love my father. I adore my father. I have no like all that anger and all that remorse. I went through that stage with my father a long time ago. I adore my father at the level he's capable of being in my life. Like I'm conscious enough to understand the level my father's at, and I love him regardless. That's unconditional love.
Yeah.
But don't expect a rabbit to swim in the water. Like. My father's a rabbit. Yeah. He knows how to jump. He doesn't know how to swim. So if I expect him to swim,
you're disappointing yourself. Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for failure. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do? I put myself and my dad in a position to have a healthy relationship. What I expect from him is what he's capable of. And as long as I understand that, we'll have a great relationship. Nothing will, he's just not that guy who is in a good mood all the time. He's not very positive. He's a little negative. Okay. So just let him do his thing. Don't be like, Dad, why are you so negative? Oh my God, you're that. Let all that go. It's okay. Let him do his thing. He's not always going to be there. It is what it is.
It's interesting.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I just don't expect him to be there 100% of the time. Yeah. Patrick Bet-David has a saying, and it's a very universal thing. Like it doesn't just apply to business or the workplace. He says, in the workplace, you're going to have 10s, you're going to have 100s, you're going to have 30s, you're going to have 40s, you're going to have 90s. Meaning you're going to have people who give 10%, but like they are at a 10, meaning that's the maximum they're capable of giving. You're going to have 90s, meaning they're going to give 90%, but 90% is all they can give. So they're a 90. You're going to have 40s. 40% is all they can give, but that's their maximum. So you need to put the 20s in a position where they can do 20% and give their best and do the best they can. And you need to put the 90s in a position to where they're going to succeed and do the best they can. Mind you, this is coming from your perspective of what 100% is.
Exactly.
So it's all relative.
I was just thinking that right now, yeah.
So maybe I'm an 80 to somebody else, even though I'm 100 to myself. You see how this all works?
Yeah. And you can't get offended by any of it.
Correct. So my point is, my father, to me, he's maybe a 70 or a 60. I need to put that 60 or that 70 in a position to win in my life and understand that he's never going to be past a 70. Maybe he will, but just at least understand that about him until he proves otherwise.
Yeah.
And people, that's wisdom. That's awareness. That takes a lot of like maturity, life experience. I think breaking and repairing of the spirit, really.
Yeah, self-love.
It takes so much for me to just be like, it's okay that he's not that way. It's okay that certain people are not a certain way. If everybody was loving and caring, we wouldn't appreciate it because you wouldn't know what sadness or heartbreak or pain was. And obviously, if the other extreme, if everything was sadness and pain and depression, and then you'd never have joy, you know?
Yeah.
So for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? That's a law of life. And if it wasn't for the bad, you wouldn't appreciate the good.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the good, there would be no bad. So it's back and forth.
Yeah.
And in spite of, you know, whatever you go through with a person, whether it's a boyfriend, a father, your mother, your sister, your girlfriend, whatever, you have to appreciate the good and the bad that came with that person. Because some of the best lessons that I've been able to implement in my life, like some of the things that I've determined are a principle in my life that make me, are because of the bad experiences. And it taught me such valuable lessons.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
Rough.
It's so good to bring light into this topic or into this thing, because that's what healing is. Like when you can forgive for real and look at those experiences no longer being a victim. That's what I was mentioning.
Right.
When you're no longer a victim of some type of a trauma or pain, but realize that I needed that pain.
Right.
I needed that. Thank you. Like when, you know, everybody serves a time in our life, and their purpose is for that time, for a specific reason. And when you finally realize what it was for, it's not even about good or bad. It was just like, for me, I just say, thank you, because I am who I am now because of that lesson that I needed, that you were used to teach me. And
100%.
So it's totally so important. That's how the breaking and repairing of the spirit comes in those moments of really loving yourself enough to know that life is not happening like to us. Like these things don't happen to us to kill us. It's just how you handle it. It's how you perceive it, and how you're able to use that to come back, to be better, to operate in who you're fully meant to be. And all of it, most of it will come from your rock bottoms, and a lot of people will play a part in your rock bottoms, or in the pains and the heartbreaks and the disappointments and the betrayals. Those things are so valuable.
100%.
So valuable. Yeah.
You wouldn't appreciate like people who go through all these toxic relationships, right? That's like a topic of conversation nowadays. Most people don't even know what the fuck that means. You have to go, like, if you go through a toxic relationship
and make it out on the other side,
and then you get a person who really loves you, you only appreciate that person because of the person who was
100%.
the toxic significant other.
100%.
You have to, in life, in order to get to where you want, you have to be a certain kind of person, because if you were capable of it, you would have it already. So you need to acquire skills and grit and like attributes and experience and growth, all around growth, right? In order to get to that place.
Yes.
And you're not going to grow through going through positive, joyful moments.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna go through. You're gonna grow when you go through these trying, hard times. Yeah. If God wants to make you patient, He's gonna make you wait forever to get something. If He wants to make you strong, you're gonna have to get beat up.
Yep. You're gonna have to endure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In order to become what you want, you have to basically do the opposite of what it takes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Doing the opposite over and over and over again is what's gonna make you into that. It's gonna mold you into that.
Absolutely.
Even though it's kind of it might be counterproductive but that's the way.
No, it's
that's
just
how
the way it is. You ask for patience, He's gonna bring you someone or something that's gonna make you so impatient until you learn
100%.
to have patience. And it's like the law of life. Like you have to go through that to become a beast. Nobody is naturally just born. I mean, maybe we are, but we gotta find it. Like we gotta find the beast in us. We have to go through the things that are meant to that came to break us, but you gotta fight it. Like for me, it's like, how hard are you going to go for yourself? Like, are you going to be your own best friend? Are you going to just let these things keep you down there? No, you got to, at some point, you got to snap and say, this is my life. I only have one life, and it's not going to be here for a long time. And so while it's here, I cannot just sit in misery or just allow what happened to me define me. Absolutely not. And when you get to a point that you say, these things that I desire are absolutely capable for me. I can be a woman of value. I can be a respectable woman. I can be driven. I can accomplish these goals. I can make this vision board and make this a reality for me. So I'm going to work for that. What I have to do to get there is now repair myself. How repair myself? Acknowledge the things that are here to break me down and overcome them. Forgive. See what it taught me. What did it teach me? It taught me grit. It taught me compassion. It taught me hard work. It taught me love. Like just these things that you're talking about. It's just so vital to becoming a successful person. And success is defined differently for everybody. But success meaning you're living and operating in a fulfilled life. Your life is flowing, and there's peace. Peace is the ultimate goal. And how you find peace is you got to trust. You have to trust that through the storms, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And life is a funny thing. Like these talks, we can go on these topics forever, which is how we actually met, having these talks and going down a rabbit hole of just deep things, which I'm very grateful for. I'm very grateful for these talks and being on this podcast and being able to have this conversation too. It's a lot of things that you said that I really needed and that are very wise. Like I am actually so proud of all this you have going on and this platform that you give to people to just talk and communicate, express, and go into conversations that are meaningful, that actually can leave an impact. I'm going to be driving out of here like, oh, wow, that was so interesting. The same way I was leaving that event. I was like, I'm going to go get that book. Like,
sorry.
It's okay.
Alrighty, guys. We're going to hear a word from our second sponsor, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, guys, taking a quick break from the podcast to bring you a word from our sponsor, Christian J. DePaz. Appreciate him for coming through. He offers a phenomenal service. Guys, I'm a big promoter of entrepreneurship, owning a company, starting a business, doing your own thing, and chasing your own dreams. But as the old saying goes, it takes money to make money. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christian J. DePaz and what he does. He gets funding for new and startup businesses. Christian, tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you so much, bro, for the opportunity to come inside your podcast and help more entrepreneurs start their own business or scale their current businesses. So what we do here at Secure Funding is that we'll help you acquire anywhere between $50,000 to $150,000 at 0% interest rate business credit, so that you can once again start or scale your current business. So if you come here from our good friend Nelson, there's no that you're coming from the Montana Method podcast, and we'll take extra good care of you. With that being said, brother, thank you so much for bringing us on.
Of course. What are you waiting for, guys? Click the link in the bio. So I can't talk about what I was asking her during the break. So
I mean, whatever. It's cool. Yeah, you could. It just depends how I'm going to answer. But
nah, it's all right. There's millions of other things to talk about. We could talk about a lot of other stuff.
But it's cool. It's a part of my journey. It's important, my perspective on it. So whatever.
I'm seriously considering being celibate.
It's the best. It is the best.
I've gotten to the point where if I notice someone isn't in tune, like on a certain frequency, I'm completely turned off. It doesn't matter how hot she is. It's happened to me like 4 times, where I'm kind of like talking to somebody who's I find really physically attractive, and then we kind of talk for a little more, and I'm like,
and not only that,
and I can't. Like, you have to, in order for me to be involved with a person, with a woman, it just can't be anybody anymore. Like, when I was young, it's like, yeah, if she's physically attractive, that's more than enough.
No.
But now I'm just like,
no.
I don't know, man. It's not worth it. And people don't understand that when you have sex with a person, like that's a mesh of souls. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was gonna tell you.
That's like,
listen,
it's a lot more than people understand.
There's a soul tie that you are messing with in the spiritual realm. When you sleep with people, you do not know what demons these people carry.
No, and you absorb their energy, right?
I mean, demons, energy, spirit. That's what I mean. Their energy. Some people's energies are affected by the spirits they carry that they don't even know they have, and how they're. You gotta watch. You gotta see how someone treats other people,
and more so women. Because if you think about this for a second, like a man penetrates a woman, so like you're literally inheriting me. Like a part of me is going into you.
Yeah.
So women specifically, I mean men too, because you're absorbing the woman's energy, like in more than one way. But women, like, it's different. You're literally opening your body to another man.
Yeah.
You know?
It is.
So
yeah. And not only that, life comes out of a woman. So a woman should really preserve you know, how many men she lets inside. 100%. But like not even just how much men she lets inside. Just there's nothing better than just being so in love with yourself. Celibacy, that's what it does for you. Celibacy allows you to be so in tune with you.
Let me tell you, prison was a blessing for me because, like, there were no women around.
Yeah.
And I was surrounded by men.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have these, like, desires for. I just was in a very neutral space where I was able to think about things that maybe I never would have thought about had I been distracted with the typical, you know, woman here and two women there, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So since I was in a really pure state of mind, I've actually never said this, and I've never realized this. I think I was in a really pure state of mind, super pure state of mind.
The best that everything flows from there.
Right, exactly, because you're not giving in to the typical like distraction and like
temptation,
habitual giving in to temptation that you do, whether it's it could be food, it could be the opposite sex, it could be alcohol or drugs or whatever. These things dim us.
Of course.
Spiritually, it's like,
oh my God. People don't understand this concept. You will not know this or grasp it until you know that the spiritual world exists. Like, first it takes for you to get there, to know, all right, I am a spirit inside of, this body that we have is temporary. This is just our vehicle here for right now. But we are spiritual beings. And when we begin to realize we're spiritual beings, like what happens or what goes on in the spirit, what does that mean? And when you realize your spirit has to be pure and taken care of, that's what you learn with God. Like why purity is so important, because when you're pure and your spirit is clean, you're at your best self. You're not distracted. You're focused. Not only you're focused, you're able to now start digging into all your traumas and everything, because you don't want the gunk in there no more. You want to clean. So you bringing in other people to contaminate your spirit is not doing you any justice in 100%. Your growth. It's not doing you any justice. The next day you feel like shit. And it's like you sleep with random people, and what? Like you start realizing, like, why am I lashing out an outburst like this? Oh, because who you were with reacts like that. And it's best to get to celibacy is good for that, to be so in tune with yourself, so that when the person that's for you comes along, that person also needs to have been practicing celibacy or have been alone for a while, because they're operating also in their full selves. When you're whole, that because you're not being touched or messed with in your spirit with other spirits. Your soul ties is so hard to get rid of a soul tie. You have to like pray about it. You have to literally go through cleanse. But you can't just be allowing people in your temple. This is like our temple. People come with all kind of trash and mess. And it's like once you value yourself, women especially, women have to value themselves. They have to value this temple, because this is where we get... When a man finds a woman that has taken care of her spirit and her soul, and she's clean, she's praised, because you did that for yourself. You don't need it. You don't need a man to do that for you. You prove to yourself how much you love yourself, how much you respect yourself, that you're just not gonna you're not gonna just have me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I am valuable, but it takes for you to be celibate a while and get to know yourself to realize I'm that bitch. Like, I'm a great catch. So what? You're just gonna go be with this guy because he has money, or because... No, it's like, how in tune with yourself are you? Do you deserve meeting someone who's so fully in tune with themselves that they can teach you, that you're drawn to them because of how clean and how much you don't have access to that person? So celibacy and purity makes all your ideas flow, makes all of you glow different, you smile different, you view life different, you 100%. See nature different because you're flowing with nature, you know.
With men it's a little different. With men, they like to settle, like men settle for a lot for someone who's just physically beautiful.
Of course.
So they abandon, like, where is this person on a mental level, and a bunch of other things, and you see them like pay the cost when they choose that relationship or that person, because since that person is lacking in other areas, it's almost like they're draining it out of you to make up for it in themselves. And it's so I'm not willing to share my energy with anybody anymore. You know, not. I mean, on an intimate level, like I'm not willing to share that energy with just anybody. You have to be a specific person.
Of course, you're on the right path. This is like the highest form of enlightenment. Like for you to not have for you not to be easily accessible. You're not easily accessible. You've worked so hard on yourself and what you carry and what's inside of you that, you know, it has to be the right person. And I think you'll know the right person because of how much work you've done during your celibacy, that you're just no longer going to tolerate or settle for less. You could see it from a mile away. You're so in tune. You're so pure and clean that you'll see, and your eyes are clear even. You'll be able to know what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And again, going back to all the toxic people you've been with, all the reasons why you're able to say, I think I'm going to be celibate, because those people taught you certain lessons and certain things that 100%. Now it's like, I don't even want that no more.
No, and I taught it to myself, because I remember myself when I did the wild shit I did in my 20s, and it was a form of not wanting to deal with, or not wanting to face what I knew was lacking within myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was really just a form of distracting myself with these exterior pleasures to not look inside here and be like, why do I feel this way? Like, what's missing? Yeah. And instead of doing that, I'd fill it with shit that didn't matter, that would just disappear. You know, it was never landing. You can't, you know, a one-night stand or a party or whatever, like, you can't grasp that. That's not tangible. That's like sand.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
Well, the only one that fills is God. For me, Jesus fills everything for me. Purpose. It's filling that void. Like, you don't need love from nobody. Like, literally, a relationship with God is like, for me, it changed everything for me, because that feeling that you're talking about of like, this is like sand. That's everything. Everything. That's why I'm like acting all of this. I love it, but everything is like sand. Everything goes and comes. Who I am at my core and the woman I've become today, I owe it because God changed my life, and my heart became full when I started to just realize, like, I'm protected, I'm taken care of, and I was specially made. And there's a love inside that I feel like only He can fill, because that relationship led me to know myself, find celibacy, leave what was no longer for me, meet who was for me, and just, I swear, sometimes I just feel like I was very lucky because I was able to, I love myself. I love myself, but I love myself because my relationship with God helped me get here. And I love myself so much that nothing is going to satisfy me fully like my relationship with God. And I don't need nobody. Having someone on my journey would be amazing and would be great. And a good love does exist. Now I'm able to be like, you know, love is a beautiful thing. I always believed in love, but when you get your heart broken and you see that, especially in Miami, that love is just a word that's just thrown around, and it's like,
well, no, I disagree. It's like taboo to talk about love nowadays. Everybody talks about relationships, and men talk about, you know, polyamory, and we talk about all these different things, but no one really talks about love anymore. It's not a
course.
real topic of conversation.
It isn't. But when someone can talk about love, you can tell where they're operating from. It's all about perspective. So a person that's really hard to talk about love or talks about pollen and all this, and it's like they avoid it, like, oh, we're gonna have mad girls. Where you at in life? You know, like what is happening inside?
No,
of
but
you?
even so, that's the men's. Some of the men, the modern day men, but some of the modern day women, they're like, oh, men are no good, and it's like,
I was like that.
I get it.
I was
but
like that.
It's just like you consider yourself a good woman. You don't think there's men out there that consider themselves good men?
I do.
And
Now.
this isn't directed at you, obviously, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just like I consider myself a good man, and the people around me would consider me a good man, there has to be people out there that's good.
There
you know?
is, but this is because your perspective now is able to say
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. You can see. Listen, I was in the place where I was like, forget these guys. After I got my heart broken, I thought everybody was I thought everybody was a piece of shit. I was just like, this is, guys, I'm gonna be single forever. Like, use them or. But where are you operating from? From a broken place? That's me. That's me sounding broken. That's me. That's me not healed, and that's me also trying to put just because of one experience label it on everyone. No, until I was like, well, what about me? I'm a good person, right? Do I believe I'm a good person? So let me start. When I started believing and loving myself, I started attracting loving people and loving things and people who are healed. Everyone is a mirror in your life.
100%.
So if you're having these conversations of like, oh, I 4 bitches and, you know, like I do OnlyFans, like I just fuck these niggas. It's like, okay, these people are mirroring something, you know, like this is also, you got to get rid of that type of crowd because somehow we play a part in who we're attracting in the conversations that we're having.
Right.
The conversations that keep popping up in your life and the perspectives of the people in your life is also resembling your perspective and where you're at in life. So, okay, I'm still a little broken then. Like, because once you heal and you start loving yourself, you meet people that are starting to love themselves and the conversations are different. The conversations are, you start meeting marriages that have been for 40 years and I started seeing that. I thought that didn't exist because I would see marriages, and I didn't come from a happy home or a good marriage family, and all I would see was marriages that they would cheat on each other, like the guy wouldn't come home, or they cheating and all of this. I worked at Hooters, so I would see husbands come in all the time and then put on Instagram their loving family with their wives. I'm like, bro, everybody's a piece of shit. But when I started healing and loving myself, I was surprised at the marriages that I would see that were, oh, we've been together for 40. Mind you, I've even met marriages of people in my industry, in Hollywood, that's impossible almost. And I've met people that are low-key, successful in what they do with their spouse since high school. And you see them, it's not even about them telling me. It's about just seeing spirits. You see how they play with each other, how he'll smack her in the ass still, like been together 35 years. And I'm just like, there are people that love each other. They probably don't talk about it all the time because not everyone is going to applaud love because of taboo, because it's not a topic. So people who do experience love, they keep it to themselves and enjoy the love with the ones they love. But it's real. And when you start to love yourself and you start to operate in love, which I'm so glad that I don't talk like that no more, that I don't say fuck these niggas and all this, because the fuck niggas that were in my life taught me lessons. But I came back. I love myself. I hope they find love in their life. And if they don't, whatever. But my lenses are no longer on toxic people. I notice them a mile away, but I'm like, these are not my people. And then you see people that they just smile all the time, how they treat their pets, like how they mother or how they father, or like how they treat the server. Like you can see they have a different energy.
You have to become what you want in life.
Absolutely. So when you become it and you become an embodiment of love and you love on others selflessly without expecting anything in return. You know, if I see my friend that says, oh, I want that, is yours. Like I do everything with love. So now I'm seeing people with love and I'm realizing there are more good people than bad
100%.
People. There really are.
Have you ever heard of the term scotoma? You know what that means?
No. I never forget Nirvana, but like you taught me that word that day in the conversation.
I did.
But what's this word?
Scotoma. If you go to the kitchen and open the kitchen cabinet, when we were kids, you're from Hispanic parents, right? No, go get the salt. It's on the second shelf. Mom, I don't see it. Where is it? It's on the second shelf next to the ketchup. Mom, it's not there. I don't see it.
But it is.
Boy, if I have to get up and go get it, I'm going to smack you. It's right next to the salt. It's right next to the ketchup between the pepper and the...
Oh, I already know where you're going with this.
Mom, I don't see it. She gets up from the couch. She comes and grabs it and shows it to you. That is a scotoma. It's right in front of your face and you don't see it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you tell yourself there are no good people in this world, there's no money out here for me to make.
Absolutely.
I'm never going to have a good job. My kids are always up to no good. My kids are going to turn out terrible. I'm going to be overweight forever. I can't lose weight. If you keep telling yourself these things, guess what? These things are going to keep happening, and that's all you're going to see. It's not because it's not there. It's because you physically are incapable of seeing it.
Exactly.
So perspective is my favorite word in the English language, because perspective is what determines your entire life, right?
Everything.
The way you choose to see things.
But it starts with the way you choose to see yourself. Like your
Exactly.
self perspective is also, because the reason you cannot see anything is because you're not. Are you listening to you? There's no money out here. There's no this. Like, what are these words coming out of your mouth? That what's coming out of your mouth is where your mind is at. Like,
100%.
so your perspective on yourself, you don't even believe in yourself. Like, you don't even love yourself, because if you did, you wouldn't talk like that.
100%.
Like, what you're saying, how you conversate, your body language is all also how you perceive yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And when you look, that's the mirror talk I'm telling you. Like when you have these moments where yourself with tears in your eyes, and you're just like seeing your eyes, like your soul and who you are. And it's like, I'm going to take care of you. Like, I'm going to be your best friend. Like, I'm going to heal this little child in you that didn't, because you deserve, when you finally get to a place where you know you deserve a good life,
100%.
you deserve a healthy, fit life. You deserve to have finances to provide a good life for you and your family. You deserve to have real love. You deserve to have a community of people who uplift you. You deserve, because then you say, I deserve these things. So now you say, man, how am I going to make money today? Where is it? God, show me, or however you do it. But where is it? You're going to start to make the way and open up so you can see.
100%.
You can't see. You'll never see as long as you don't see within yourself. Like, if you don't see you, if you don't know you, like, most people don't know themselves. That's the problem. Like, you have to know who you are aside from just this. Like, who am I? When you start to ask yourself those questions, and you face yourself, and you start to take yourself out on dates and go to the movies by yourself, and go, hey, I like this. And you pay attention to the foods you like to eat and the things that make you happy. Or when you're doing an activity and you don't even need to look at your phone, it's like, I like this. You see what you like, what you don't like. So now you're becoming your friend. When you become your own best friend, then you start to see your potential. You start to see what you deserve, and you start to be like, I'm cool. And then you finally get to a place like, I love me.
Right.
When you finally get to, I love me, guess what? The people who love you are going to come to you too. And you're going to see the ones who don't love you, because you weren't able to love yourself at first. So you kept people around you that were just operating in the same, you guys were like codependent on each other's brokenness. Once you start loving, you're going to irritate the people that haven't gotten there yet. So
they'll leave on their own.
They'll leave on their own. But then the right ones, it's like a beautiful thing that happens, and it's totally possible. And the same way, you start to see the salt in the cabinet. Like, what? Like
100%.
You start to see the salt in the cabinet. You start to see, and you start to appreciate. And it's an amazing place. Like, this is when you're like, oh, I'm so thankful. Like, thank you, God, for saving me, or whatever, however that means for you. But fight until you get there. And celibacy helps that. It helps you get to a place where you find you, love you, and then you attract a whole new everything, an environment, a new set of friends, a new exposure of reality for you, a new set of dreams. You no longer just have sight, you get vision, you get dreams that become now, this can happen. You watch interviews of people talking, you're like, that sounds like me. Or you know, like, everything just begins to click when you start to love yourself.
Right.
In the process of you loving yourself, you just can't be sleeping around with people. They're going to destroy that crucial part.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? That part is so important. And when you finally see the salt, it's a beautiful thing. When you finally see the salt.
That should be the title of your book.
Yeah, right.
When you finally see the salt.
Oh my God. What's that word again? When you can't see the salt?
Scotoma.
Scotoma. You're going to have to text me that so I can remember. Scotoma.
Raquel, it was great having you on the show. It's been an hour already. Can you believe that?
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's been an hour.
Podcasting is fun.
It's great.
So I usually ask 3 questions to wrap up the show.
All right. Oh, let's go.
First question, what inspires you?
What inspires me? What inspires me is seeing something okay, what inspires me are things that are unachievable in the regular eye, but believing that I can do it. What inspires me is I'm inspired by making people happy. And so when I'm able to do something that I didn't think was possible for me and I did it, I'm inspired by the fact that if I can do it, someone else could do it. So if I can encourage you, if you could just see me and see my story and know where I come from and have a little bit of hope, if I can instill a little bit of hope in you to be a better person, and maybe sometimes you're just the way I like to say it is sometimes you're the only Jesus someone will ever know, right? For me. So I'm inspired by my story leaving an imprint and changing like people's lives in a way where I hope that through my story and through where I come from and where I ended up by going after the things that seemed unachievable for me, telling you I did this with the help of God, I hope that you find hope to come to life. Like that there can be an end to brokenness, that just because you're a single mom, just because you're in poverty, just because you come from a broken household, just because you're poor, like whatever, it doesn't even matter. I'm inspired by the fact that you can change your life. You can find love, and let me show you how. So everything I do, I always try to make sure that it's authentic, it's true, it's real, and I show you the struggle and I show you the victory. So whoever, mostly women, I am inspired to helping women come back to how powerful we really are. Women, for some reason, have been losing their way, but women are, it's always been said, we are special. Like God made us so beautifully. So I'm inspired in girl power, going after my dreams, and in the hopes that I inspire others, I give them hope, make them happy, uplift, and encourage. That's what I want to do. And that's what inspires me, really. Really inspires me.
Second question, what's next for you?
What's next for me? I'm really focusing right now on building an empire, a legacy. Like, I think as an artist, you also have to really know the business side of it. If not, you're not going to make it. So what's next for me is getting behind the scenes, which is kind of what I've been working on, because I want to give opportunity to people who were like me. I want to create my own things and give myself my own opportunities. I'm already tired of the rules and the regulations and the pay that I have to, for what I'm good at, or having to go off of the terms and conditions of other people. So right now, what's next for me is creating my own opportunities. I'm really going to try to leverage my personal brand to try to get my talent, my artistic creativity and everything out there in my own platform. And I got my own camera, my own setup now. So I want to start creating my own opportunities. And also all the people that I've met, thank God, I have this network of talent, over 1,000 talent in Miami, and I'm going to do something with them. So what's next for me is to give them jobs, I'm already good. I had enough shine. I still want to keep going, but if it doesn't make sense for me, or if it goes against my morals, or if it goes against like my life principles, I'm not settling, or I'm not going to just take what comes for me anymore. I'm going to do meaningful work, and I'm only going to collaborate with brands that represent me well, and I'm only going to take on roles that actually fit right with me and that can make a difference. And if they don't come along, I'm going to be creating those. I'm going to be writing my own stuff. I'm going to be directing my own things. I'm going to have my talent agency, which I'm working on, to represent and manage these talents. And I see talent that struggle so much, artists specifically, because artists are like me. They're very sensitive and full of emotions, and sometimes they don't know what to do with them. And artists are the #1 people who are suicidal, who go into drugs, because you see it in Hollywood all the time. Sometimes they don't know how to handle. So I want to be the voice for, I'm working on a nonprofit to help artists find their inner light and to shine their inner light. And I want to be, what's next for me is to kind of give opportunity and create my own path and create opportunities for myself and for others. That's my way of giving back and serving and doing what I love to do in a way that feels purposeful. That's next for me.
Last question. How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a woman who had a big heart, who loved, who had faith in Jesus, and I told everyone about it. Like, I want to be remembered as, man, that girl had so much faith. She was so loving, and she was, I'm not going to say a role model because that's a lot of responsibility, but I want to be remembered as a woman who did her best to do the right thing and lead like the Proverbs 31 woman did, where I am able to be a proper steward of everything I've been trusted with. So if God gave me these talents, I want to use them the way they're intended to be used. I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good friend. And I want to be, have good accountability on myself where I know how to apologize for my errors. But I just want to be remembered as a woman who helped other women rise up, a woman who was faithful to God, and who did her best to let everyone know that the reason I am where I am today is because of him. And if I can change, so can you. I just want to somehow heal the women, children, even men. Like, I want to be an example of not rags to riches, but just triumph. If I can triumph over what try to break me and become this person where you can see, how many people tell me like, oh my God, your energy, your light, you're this. What? You don't even know how I was a few years ago when I was broken, skinny, lonely, looking at myself in the mirror like, why did I settle for this? What's happening to me? Why did my mom become like this? Why don't I have a dad? Why is my life like this? I could have been a whore. I could have been a drug addict. I could have been a prostitute. Like, I had all the cards lined up against me to end up not where I'm at today. And I did it by myself. Well, not by myself. I did it with God, but I have no one supporting me. No one helps me. No one comes and gives me a hand. No one taught me how to mother. If you see my daughter is an amazing child, and she watches everything I do. And I just took it upon myself with like, okay, this is my life. This is what I've been given. And I'm going to do the best I can with it. And I'm not going to be a victim of my circumstances. I'm going to rise above. And not only am I going to rise above, I'm going to bring others with me. And I'm going to create a community or a legacy of healed artists, women, people, whoever it is. But my story is going to inspire and encourage and motivate. And it's coming from someone who had all odds against. So that is how I want to be remembered.
Alrighty, guys. That's another episode of Montana Method Podcast with special guest Raquel Calderon. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
As always, push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you're not chasing a dream,
it's 111.
Life is meaningless, guys. Catch you on the next one. Say goodnight to the bad guy.
Bye.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches.